Welcome to the Rabbit Hole Fantasy Football Podcast. Thoughts, analysis, and information to help you succeed in your fantasy football leagues. I am your host, Chad Lyon, and I am here, as always, with Tyler Bevel.
Right.
And our producer, Mitchell Bird.
Hello.
And this is our Week 2, 4 o'clock, Sunday night and Monday night preview. What a game last night.
Garbage.
Boy. Man, oh man. You know, we're gonna preview that game. But quick thoughts, Ty.
Yeah.
Go ahead. What do you think? Anything? Just ugh.
The Dolphins have some problems.
They got some serious problems.
The Dolphins have problems if Tua doesn't get hurt.
Yeah.
Because
that was bad.
Yeah, they took away anything deep that was ever going to happen, and they basically told the Dolphins, "You can run that screen stuff all you want. We're going to come up and tackle it, and we are taking away the top. Figure something else out." The Dolphins could not.
And now that's what everybody's going to do.
Right. A-Chain's going to have great fantasy games, and I am worried about this team otherwise.
Well, it was talked about in the offseason when we were doing shows here. Every time that the Dolphins and Tua came up, this was your thought.
Yeah, and I didn't expect it to happen this quick. Right. I didn't think it was sustainable for a season. Week 2, even week 1.
And you can't even, they were home.
Yeah.
So the comfort was there. And I don't want to knock on Tua. The dude's hurting, and he does seem like a genuinely awesome human being. It just seems like everything needs to be perfect for him, and if it doesn't align perfectly, it just doesn't work. And then you add in your thoughts on how they run their system, and it's just, I know he comes from that Shanahan system, but he's not Shanahan.
No.
And I like Mike McDaniel. He's cool. He's different.
I will say,
but man,
what you're saying, that everything has to be perfect, to me is a very common problem with Alabama. Maybe not so much in the future because of Nick Saban being gone and out, but quarterbacks in the league now that are from Alabama,
look at Bryce Young,
from Ohio State.
Yeah.
When stuff is not perfect and stuff breaks down, because they're just so used to being in those powerhouse schools where
they have everything.
They have the strongest offensive line. They have the best weapons. When you get to the NFL, even playing field, boy, it just seems like those Alabama, Ohio State quarterbacks like that, they struggle.
It's a trend.
Yeah, it is.
There's been a couple here and there.
C.J. Stroud is the obvious exception to the rule, but
Hurts, it's fine so far.
Yeah, but I'm not.
But I mean,
most of his playing time was at Oklahoma, so it's different.
Sure, good point. All right, we'll get into the Thursday night game a little bit more, but let's go top 3 list here.
Yep.
Ready?
Yeah.
Top 3 Sega games.
Oh man, Mitchell, you go first.
Oh, okay.
All right,
I'm ready to go.
Let's get it.
NBA Jam.
NBA Jam.
Great.
He's hitting up.
Game. Oh.
Head fake. Number 2, Doom. That's my introduction to Doom, and I can say I still follow it to this day. I love the whole franchise.
Yeah, Mitchell's schooling me on this because Doom is like my all-time favorite game ever, and I have never played the Doom on Sega, so I got to get on that.
I was probably too young, but it was awesome. And then Sonic 2, classic.
I love Sonic. So much fun. I would argue with people that I think the Sonic games are more fun than Mario.
Yeah.
There was for me, the fast-paced speed to it was just awesome.
And being that age, I think, is part of the problem. Because you played the Mario games and they were fun, but then Sonic is just flying across the screen. And it got you.
You want to go or you want me to go?
I can go.
All right, go ahead.
I got Jerry Glanville's Pigskin Football.
All right.
I was showing you guys this game.
Yeah.
Couple episodes. Yeah, Foot Brawl. And that's my number 1 just because of me and my buddies always playing that game against each other just all the time, nonstop. Every time we'd get together when we had the Genesis consoles, it would be hours and hours of Pigskin Football just back and forth. Mortal Kombat, my number 2.
Nice.
And I am going to go with, boy, the third one's tough. I'm going to go with Castlevania Bloodlines is my 3 with an honorable mention for Rocket Knight Adventures.
Rocket Knight was fun.
Yeah, it was great.
It was very cool. Do you have an honorable mention?
Not off the top of my head. No, I'm just pretty satisfied with my 3.
All right. They're solid. I love NBA Jam. It's a great game. I actually logged a lot of hours on that. It's not on my list. It probably should be, but great game. So much fun. Hours and hours and hours of fun with that game.
Street Fighter. Now I think about
Street Fighter.
I got to shout
out.
Street Fighter 2, right?
Street Fighter 2, yeah.
Yeah, dude.
You knew.
Was Turbo on that? Street Fighter 2 Turbo?
Boy, you're testing me there. That's too far back. I can't.
That Street Fighter was an awesome. I love Street Fighter.
Street Fighter probably should have been on my list. Like
Ryu, he's always my favorite.
Yeah.
My list is, we'll go with one is Streets of Rage 2. Number 2 is Mortal Kombat 3. And number 3 is Golden Axe 2.
Golden Axe 2
Golden Axe is so much fun.
Golden Axe 2 is great.
I'll give, for an honorable mention, I'll go Deion Sanders Primetime Football.
Yeah, he talked trash to
Talking smack before the, I'm going to make you eat that ball.
Yeah.
Awesome game. It was so much fun. That's it. That's our top 3 list. Sega games. We will see what we come up with next time. Let's get into Thursday night reaction. The Bills at the Dolphins. Well, sad night for Dolphins fans. And I genuinely hope that Tua is okay. That was bad. What are your thoughts on his future?
I don't know. I just wish him the best of luck, and hopefully he recovers fine and everything goes. But scary moment. I'm sure he's got some thinking to do.
Do you think it's like, hey, man, you got a bag? Maybe just, I mean, the thing is, it's hard. Like, these guys have been doing this since they were 6, 7 years old.
I'm not saying certain guys don't have that mindset, but I think most of the guys in the NFL, no. They want to win. They want to be champions. They want to go down in the books. So, no, I got to think in his head, like, no, he wants to still compete. Now, I think he's probably going to have to do some talking with his family and figure it out and see where he wants to go from here. But I think, too, as a competitor, and I think he wants to be out there and competing and trying to go for championships and all that. I think, it's a tough situation.
Actually, I hate seeing that they call it fencing, like what your limbs do. Like when that happens, like they all like stick out and contort in weird ways. I hate seeing that. It bothers me so bad.
Yeah.
The first time I ever saw that actually was the Cardinals. Kurt Warner was playing. They were getting smoked. I mean, they had no business even having starters in the game. There was like 30 seconds left, maybe a minute, something stupid. And they were down by like 3 or 4 scores. And Warner slung one down the field to Anquan Bolden. And he took the nastiest hit to the head that maybe I've ever seen. And his arms were just pointed. He was flat on his back, arms straight to the sky. Yeah. And I was like, whoa, what the heck is that?
Right.
And I remember Warner talking about that. He's like, he's like, from now on, he's like, sometimes you got to surrender. And he's like, I will make sure that never, ever happens again. He's like, I feel at complete fault for that. Poor Kurt Warner. And he did too. He was beating himself up. But that's the first time I ever saw that. I hate seeing that.
Love Kurt Warner though.
Yeah. But that fencing pose, they call it when the limbs, oh man.
It's ugly.
You know it's bad.
If you're a fantasy football guy, I just don't think you want anybody to get hurt. Like you don't. And being a person in general, but man, I don't care what team you root for. Like the Baltimore Ravens are going against the Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't want anybody in the Ravens to get hurt. You hate to see that stuff. Especially
Eagles fan. Same when they're playing the Cowboys. It's like, don't want to see anyone get hurt.
No, you hate to see that stuff.
I want to see him play terrible.
With Tua struggling with this, it's...
Yeah, it sucks, man. I hope he's all right. And if he does decide to come back, man, I hope it doesn't happen again.
With or without Tua,
get down to
the Dolphins have problems.
Yes.
It's an issue.
Either way, it's a problem.
Copycat league. Teams seen that tape.
Yep.
It's going to be an issue.
Yep. No receivers in this game really gave you much to speak of. Pretty non-competitive. The Bills just handled business, man.
Yeah.
On the ground, however, both Achane and James Cook just went absolutely nuts. Cook finished with 11 carries for 78 yards and 2 touchdowns, and he tacked on 1 catch for 17 yards and a touchdown for 27 PPR points. That's minimal work for 27.
Big output.
Achane, if you look at his 22 carries, 96 yards, 7 catches, 69 yards, and a touchdown.
To your
28 points.
Achane should have been out of that game.
He sure should have.
Great for the fantasy managers.
Yeah,
He's healthy. Nothing happened to him. Great. But
I'm watching this game and I'm like, what are we doing?
Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle are sitting on the sidelines. Achane needs to be out of that game. Get Jalen Wright to work at that point.
Yes.
Let the kid get on there. Get it going. I mean,
it's over.
Yes.
Stop.
I
couldn't believe it.
No, it was weird.
He's already been questionable.
The only thing I can think is that Achane just wouldn't come off.
Sure.
maybe he's just that competitor in him. But like, if not, get that guy off the field at that point in the game and let Jalen Wright, your young guy, get that work at that point.
I didn't understand that at all.
No,
like, not even a little bit.
Get it?
It made no sense. Kirk Herbstreit, he actually kind of started pointing it out. But then he stopped and he switched over to, because he had mentioned, he was like, you got Tyreek Hill and Waddle over on the sideline. He's like, and I don't want to make too much, but you got Achane out in the field.
Right.
And then he kind of cut back to, I think he was going to say, like, why is he even on the field? And then he kind of seemed like was a little annoyed with Hill and Waddle. They're sipping Gatorade, giggling at Teehan.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Josh Allen is rooting for his second string defense with 2:30 left, standing up, making the incomplete pass signal. Like when they make a big play, like, I don't know, Buffalo just came in to win this game and they did handily.
Yeah, they did. Even, Bills receivers were underwhelming. I mean, but Cook just took the game over completely, ran all over Miami.
Kincaid was more encouraging this week. I think you feel a little bit better about that. If that's a competitive game, you feel like he has a pretty good stat line, right?
Yeah, probably so. Listen, you got to 11 carries and Cook did what he did, 1 catch and he did what he did, and then you tack on the pick 6 and the 3 picks in total. Like what did you expect for a fantasy output?
Well, they're up by 3 scores at halftime. I mean,
they're not throwing the ball anymore. And what I like though is I like, between Cook and Achane here, Cook finishing with 27 with half the work, less than half the work. That's 12 touches to 29 touches, and he scored 1 less fantasy point than Achane. I like that. I really like that. Getting it done on minimal work. I'm a huge fan of that. It keeps him healthy. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Kincaid, you brought him up. 4 targets and 7 PPR points. Shakir got you 10 points. That was flex worthy.
I think Shakir is going to be pretty good in this offense.
5 targets. Him and Kincaid had the most targets.
Yeah.
Allen threw the ball 19 times.
Right.
This is not,
and like Josh Allen had no reason to run in the second half.
Right.
Why was he going to risk his body in a game that they're controlling by? And James Cook was just, every time they handed him the ball, it seemed like he was making a big play.
Sure. The game affected Allen's fantasy output. I mean, what's he supposed to? But it won't happen often. Keep your faith in all these Bills. Obviously, outside of Cook, we know there's faith there.
Yeah.
But this is a Dolphins' fault, actually. It's not the Bills' fault.
For sure.
Right? So, okay. Hopefully, again, and I also want to add this. These Thursday night games, dude.
Yeah, it's a thing.
It's.
We even said the other day.
They're like the overseas games.
If you have players that are close, I'm going with the guy who's not playing on Thursday night. It's a short week for teams.
I mean, outside of the obvious ones, you start James Cook, you start Achane, you start Allen, you start Tyreek.
I think it was like if you have Waddle and this other person we were talking about, and I'm like, well, I want this person because Waddle has a Thursday night game.
Right.
I still thought Waddle was going to do better than he did. I thought the whole Dolphins were. I thought this was actually going to be a competitive game. But
yeah, like if you have, and you certainly could, if you have, maybe you're trying to decide between Flowers and Waddle, Devonta and Waddle. If you
take the guy who's not playing on Thursday night.
I totally understand that. But like the obvious ones, it sucks when that happens. Like you're playing Josh Allen, you're playing Tyreek Hill, you're playing James Cook. Luckily for Cook, it went his way. Achane, you're lucky it went his way. But outside of that,
I have Josh Allen in 2 leagues though, and you're talking 9 points, fantasy points, 9 or 10. He ended with.
Mm-hmm. I've got him in the Keystone Kings Dynasty, 14-man Dynasty, super flex. So we'll see what happens. All right, let's move on to the Sunday 4:00 games, and we'll start with the Rams at the Cardinals. Another Cooper Kupp boom week.
I don't see why not.
Why wouldn't he?
It's going to be a target monster.
Yep. Do you think Nakua not being there helps or hurts Kupp?
It's tough. I want to give you an answer, but it depends on if one of those two, DeMarcus Robinson or Johnson, are going to step up.
Give them something to worry about a little bit so that all the focus. Yeah. I almost think, though, sometimes, like, because I've heard this talked about a lot this week. Like, Nakua's not there, Kupp's going to, and it's like, are you sure? Are you sure that Nakua's not pulling enough away to keep Kupp going?
Nakua didn't play much in that Lions game, and the Lions still didn't have an answer for it. I'll say that.
That's true. That's a fair point.
Now, granted, you got a week of tape for the Cardinals have a week of tape to look at. I mean, it's
Time to prep.
I am going to say no to answer your question that it doesn't affect Kupp's value negatively just because I think Stafford's a good enough quarterback to get him the ball.
Yeah.
He's a good enough wide receiver to find space to get open. Not to mention all the pre-play motion and stuff. They're going to put Kupp, they're going to motion him, put him in the slot. They'll line him up to where he's not getting the shutdown or double team. Not that Cardinals have a shutdown corner, but they're going to move him around with pre-play motion and stuff to get him opportunities.
Okay. You brought him up. Any interest in Demarcus Robinson or Tyler Johnson this week as a sneaky flex? We're starting to get some injuries and questionable tags.
Yeah,
now,
Demarcus,
so talking about
Demarcus Robinson. If you're in a pinch,
sense.
Demarcus Robinson is a guy that I like.
Good flexing, maybe.
Yeah.
He proved that last year. He did fine. It's like he's getting better with age.
And that's why I say Demarcus Robinson over Johnson because I've seen it before.
Sure.
It's not like it's a new offense. It's Stafford and the Rams. Like he's familiar with the system. He's comfortable. So for me, it's Demarcus Robinson.
He had plenty of moments last year. The year before that, he did some things in Baltimore.
Yeah.
It's like as he gets older, he keeps getting a little better, a little bit.
Yeah.
Isn't that weird? But like he's been around. Like you would think he would have already have been this good. But
Right.
Like all of a sudden, it's just like
He's always just like that odd guy on the receiving
yeah.
roster, whatever team he's on. He's like the guy just outside of the starters.
Sure. And this isn't he's getting better with age. So he's not a third year receiver.
Right.
like it's just, he's been around for quite some time.
But out of the two, he's the guy that I want.
He's the guy. Yeah.
Yep.
That Tyler Johnson, there might be something there in a dynasty format. Or,
I'd stash him.
yeah. Okay. You think you can get by with Colby Parkinson?
No.
Tight end premium only.
Yeah. And even then.
It's because it's Higbee's role.
Yeah. And it's just.
He just wants
Higbee's role wasn't sustainable for a full season. Like you don't want that as your like if you have Higbee in any of the years where Higbee played there, like you're not getting through a season with that. So I'm saying no for Colby
Right.
Parkinson as well too.
He was just traded for 2 third-round picks.
Yeah.
Well, that was Kerry fleeced him. I mean, 5 targets last week. I mean, that just sounds like Tyler Higbee. He was on the field for 69 out of a possible 78 snaps. That's a positive.
Sure.
It's if you're going to roll with him, if you're buying into this, it's probably you should remember Arizona does fairly well handling tight ends. You know, we still have to base off last year's numbers. We have 1 week in the books. And with that said, maybe that did have something to do with Kincaid having such a minimal output.
Yeah,
Because they tried
so.
him and Knox, and it didn't work out for either tight end. I mean,
The other problem with the whole Colby Parkinson thing is like Matthew Stafford is just not a tight end quarterback.
that's true.
Never has been.
Nope.
He's probably been more of a tight end quarterback than he's been with the Rams since he ever was with the Lions, and it's not like he's throwing to the tight end a lot.
Yep. I mean, Pettigrew was really underwhelming with him in Detroit. Remember him?
Yeah.
I mean, he had some guys that you thought like, oh yeah, but they just never really got utilized. And
Yeah, who was the big draft pick that went to the Steelers? Like, he didn't even use him that much. Like, he was a high draft pick the Lions took. He ended up on the Steelers roster for a couple of years. God, I can't think of his name, though. It'll come to me.
Now you're driving. It's going to drive me
Eric
nuts.
Ebron.
Oh yeah, Ebron.
Yeah.
Yes.
But
yes.
Stafford didn't use him that much when he was there. He had a couple good games here and there, but it wasn't like it was a ton of usage.
Right. Wasn't he a Tar Heel?
Yeah, I don't know off the top of my head.
I'm going to be way wrong there. I feel like I'm right, though. Listen, you're starting Kyron. You're starting Kyron. I like the matchup. James Cook did fine here in week 1, against Cardinals. Got you 13 fantasy points, just lacked the touchdown you wanted. That kind of changes everything. You're looking at 19-20 at that point.
Yeah, I love Kyron Williams in this game.
I expect a score from Kyron in this game as well. So I'm smash start, easy start, obvious start. Tyler Stafford or Kyler here?
Kyler.
Yeah, I think so too. Boy, I made a mistake. Yeah, I call myself right out. 5 minutes before the game last night, I have Tyreek Hill in Ty's redraft league. It's a 3-receiver league with a flex. I have Kyler and Tua. 5 minutes before the game, I was like, you know what? If he's going to boom, let it be on a Thursday night in Miami. I got the Tyreek stack with Tua. Let's go.
I didn't say anything because you already had it in, but I would have never made that move.
Yeah, it's
I would
fine.
have never made that.
It was,
Ouch.
he does, listen, at the end of the day, Tua has those weeks.
Oh, sure.
And I just like, you know what? He's home. It's prime time. I know it's Thursday, but I'm just going to shove that aside. Yes, stupid.
Yeah, and to
Went
your,
against my
to
own
your
advice.
credit, I didn't expect that from the Bills defense.
No,
It was a shutdown game.
it was. They're doing better than I thought they would on defense. They really are.
For sure.
I may have been too low on. Not that I was like, they suck. You
No,
know,
but
it's like,
they're
this is
better than
going
I
to be a decline.
expected them to be.
Right.
You
It's
know,
not
you
really
lose-
a decline.
You lose Poyer back there, and what's the
Yeah.
other safety?
Micah
Hyde.
Micah Hyde.
Like, I just thought there was going to take some time adjusting to that, but man, it seems like, I don't know, they seem solid.
They really do. Defensive head coach, man. He knew what he was doing that whole time. Listen, I really want to see more Marvin Harrison here.
We're gonna.
Everyone's clamoring for that. And Kyler admitted they need time to develop. Remember, Harrison only had 3 preseason snaps.
Worst quote of the week is Kyler Murray.
It's not my job to force him the ball.
Yes, it is. Not to force him, but to get him the ball, it is your job.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
But wasn't the quote,
Is it
it's not my
force?
job to force him the ball.
Fair enough.
And I was like, and a friend of mine messaged me and was like, that quote's ridiculous. And I'm like, but didn't he say force?
If he said force, but like the 2 plays where he's running down the sideline with nobody even on the screen, you're not forcing the ball, just lob it up. It's going to be fine.
It was windy.
Yeah.
It was windy on that game.
So we talked about that wind factor. That could have, I don't know.
There is a play where Marvin Harrison doesn't have a guy within 10 yards of him.
He's just down there.
Ball's not even thrown. He's waving his arms.
Yeah.
I don't care what the wind is. Take that
Just
throw.
throw it.
Because even if the wind blows it 8 freaking yards off to the right, nobody's going to intercept it. Nobody's gonna,
It's just going to land 8 yards to the right.
right, it's fine.
But Kyler did say, he's like, we need time to develop. And like I said, he had 3 preseason snaps. Harrison did. That's
Yeah.
it.
It's going to happen.
It's going to take it might take a little time. It might not be this week, but it's going to happen.
Harrison owners, be patient.
Yes.
The other big thing was that Harrison had like a top speed of 16 miles per hour. Which I don't know how you.
I don't think he was ever known for speed anyway, but
He had like, well, this is just like on those threads where you start reading that stuff. There was like college ones where he had like 22, 23 miles per hour.
But
I'm like, well, give him the ball and clock his speed when he's running away from people. Like that, you know.
Marvin Harrison did say, I was thinking a lot out there. He's like, I need to be thinking a lot less. And it's like, okay, so this, you hanging around, not quite, I mean,
The other good side of
this is causing a problem.
if you watch any of the Hard Knocks, is that I don't think Marvin Harrison, the diva, are going to be an issue.
I really hope not.
He doesn't. He has made comments like, "Well, I'm not. It's just a game. I'm not going to give the quarterback a hard time. It's just
Right.
You know, I don't know. So they'll get this figured out. I still think this is a great situation. Harrison owners, be patient.
I thought it was great that they were, they were transparent in it. Kyler said what he said. Harrison said, I was thinking too much. I need to start thinking less.
They'll get this figured out.
Yeah. Yep. Not too concerned. In time. And it'll be, I think, in a couple weeks. Maybe not right now. Maybe right now, but give it a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Interest in Michael Wilson or Greg Dortch?
Greg Dortch.
Michael Wilson could have that one catch for 60 yards and a touchdown.
He sure could.
That's
But I like the floor of Greg Dortch catching 5 or 6 passes across the middle.
He's going to get way more targets.
Yeah.
You would think. You're starting Trey McBride.
Yeah.
How confident?
Still pretty confident.
Okay. The Rams did keep Laporta in check,
They did.
but there's a target thing with McBride.
Yeah.
Like 9 targets last week.
Yeah, and they're going to start translating to fantasy points.
Even as Harrison gets more involved, as he's obviously going to, I still think
I think that they just
McBride
benefit
is
each other
fine.
there. Yeah.
Yeah. I got all the faith in the world, actually,
Right.
in McBride.
I think if anybody takes a hit during that, like once Harrison gets going and him and Kyler up to speed, I think it's more Greg Dortch and Michael Wilson taking a hit than it is Trey McBride.
Oh, absolutely. For sure. I'm starting James Conner with tons of faith.
Yep.
Please get Trey Benson on your bench if you don't already. I want to say it again. This is like I said it with McCaffrey. Get Jordan Mason. He's like that. Some of these handcuffs really matter. Jordan Mason is one of them. They go with one guy, man. It's just what they do. And same here. I think if it's Trey Benson, it's going to be all him.
Yeah,
If Conner goes, that's
Demercado's going to get on the field a couple plays no matter what happens, but it's not fantasy relevant.
Hell, he had a couple snaps last week.
He's gonna.
Mercado. Yeah.
But it's not going to be fantasy relevant. And you think, I agree with what you're saying. Trey Benson's a dude. If
This is like
something
Kyron
happens
and
to Conner.
Corum.
Yeah.
It's Walker and Charbonnet. So if you have Conner, great. That's awesome. Start him with tons of faith. I am. But please get Trey Benson.
Even going off the thought process that if Connor gets hurt, there's no way Demercado is going to hold back Trey Benson.
No.
Just use your head at that point. Like,
No. That said, this is Connor's show.
Yeah.
Start him with faith. Rams, got handled just fine by the Lions running backs.
Yeah.
So I'm not too concerned at
Real
all.
bad
I'm not even
real bad.
concerned. Yeah. Connor's a main cog in the offense. Awesome flex, fine RB2. If you got it, it very well could be a flex with where his ADP was.
Mm-hmm.
Great RB2 in this matchup, in every matchup until noted otherwise.
What a good scenario where you were in if that's the case.
Woo! No kidding. DST interest?
No.
Me neither. No interest here. All right, let's move on at the Bengals, at the Chiefs. Do you prefer to avoid the Bengals running backs here?
Yeah.
I really do. Because I don't. This defense is good.
I'm still stashing Chase Brown, but
Sure.
I'm avoiding this week 100%.
Yep, I'm staying right away from it. T. Higgins is still questionable with a hamstring injury as of this recording on Friday. So keep your eyes on that. Are you worried about Chase in this game, or do you expect a return to what he's obviously very capable of?
Somewhat. Worried in this game just because I think the Chiefs defense is very good, but you got to start Chase if you have him.
It's a very good defense. Yeah, obviously you have to start him. I just don't know if there's any I don't know if he's going to be the Chase that I'd like him to be.
He will, but I don't think it happens this week. How's that?
That sounds good. That's reasonable. Any interest in a receiver outside of Chase or Higgins if he plays?
No.
Not even Yoshivas if Higgins sits? Is it flex? Nope. Okay. 6 targets without Higgins last week.
Still no.
Still no. Okay. Deeper flex? 14?
14 man, you're thinking about it.
Okay. That's it, though.
Yeah, that's it.
All right. No interest in tight ends as far as the Bengals go. How are we feeling on Joe Burrow this week?
If you have other options, take it. If you don't, you got to roll with Burrow and hope that
he needs his team at full strength, man. He needs Chase to get right in his head, whatever's going on. I know it was obviously supposedly food poisoning last week. It probably was. He needs Higgins back. He needs his team healthy and ready.
They need to
go.
figure out their run game too.
They really do. Maybe this might be a situation where Cincinnati's we whiffed. Who's available?
Yeah.
I just wonder if that happens. Who's out there trying to get rid of a running back that's just, maybe he's an older head.
Kareem Hunt.
Why not? He's free right now.
Yeah, take a chance, right?
Yeah. I don't know if the whole Chase thing was food poisoning or rust, but either way.
Or no contract.
Yeah.
Even though he has 2 years left.
Yeah, I know. I hate that. God dang it. I wonder if that game was it necessarily Burrow's fault?
No, I think the rust thing is Burrow too. Coming back from that injury,
Sure.
not having.
Yeah.
And I expect him to be better this week. My problem is how tough I think this Chiefs defense is going to be.
Okay. Well, here's what I'll say. I'll say without his guys, man, and without people getting back into the groove here with each other, I can't feel confident in starting him. But the good thing is you probably don't have to.
I don't think this game is going to be close.
No, I think the Chiefs are going to kill him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Obviously, it's Mahomes over Burrow. You're starting Mahomes. Easy
the other
peasy.
problem is the Bengals defense. I know they revamped their secondary. But man, that front 8, not good.
No.
They got that edge rusher there. He's good, but man, there's just not a lot there. There's not a lot of help.
They got stampeded by Stevenson.
Bad.
Man, oh man. Again, before we move on, it's Mahomes over Burrow. You don't even think about it.
Yeah.
Easy peasy every week. Expecting a solid week from all the pass catchers. Kelsey, Rice, obvious starts. Worthy's pushing obvious.
Worthy's banged up, isn't he?
Oh, did I miss that? Maybe I missed that. I shouldn't have, but
I think Xavier Worthy's banged up, questionable. See if I can pull that up here.
Nope.
He's good to go.
No tag.
No tag.
Hollywood's on IR though.
Hollywood, yeah. That's a bummer. I'm anxious to see this offense when Hollywood gets out there. Starting Raji Rice, starting Travis Kelce.
Flexing Worthy.
Flexing Worthy.
Easily?
No. Kid's a playmaker, but I got to see more than 3 touches.
Yeah, that was my next note. Touches were minimal. 3 targets, 1 carry. He just happened to kill it.
He did.
On those
but I got to see more than 3 touches.
That's not going to happen.
Right. I got to see more than 3 touches. I got to know that he's a more involved in this offense than that before I'm confidently flexing him.
His snap count was 34 out of a possible 54.
That's not bad
No,
for your week
for
one.
a rookie week one?
Yeah.
No. But it's an offense with tons of weaponry also. So those, I mean, the boom intrigues me a lot, man. Like I kind of want to flex him.
I'm still holding back. If he's my best option on my team, fine. If I get another option, I'm probably taking that until I see him get more involved in the offense.
I understand if you have like if your other option is like, well, I mean, you know what I mean?
The kid's a playmaker. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind about that. But it's
if you have to choose between James Conner,
I think they're going to make
Xavier Worthy.
Yeah, and I think they're going to make a big effort to get Kelsey more involved in this game. I think
so.
Raji Rice still gets his catches. So Xavier Worthy flex, but not confident about it. Not slamming him in the flex position.
I think we're pretty close. I think I'm just a little more confident.
Gotcha.
Than you. Okay. All right. Obviously, like we just said, Hollywood Brown's on IR. Yeah, that's a bummer. It's good for Worthy, though.
I'm anxious to see it.
Yeah. This might just be a problem all year, though. I can see this just lingering and being an issue.
Could be. I hope it's not, because I want to see this offense with
full bore.
All of them in there, yeah.
Yeah. And we're expecting a solid performance from Pacheco here, I assume.
Pacheco is one of my higher running backs this week.
Yeah. I think it's a top-tier RB1 finish. No problem.
Yep.
Starting Kansas City defense?
Yeah.
Yeah, easy. All right, let's move on to the Steelers at the Broncos. Does Surtain worry you with, that's who Pickens is going to be dealing with. So do you have any concerns there?
Pickens lined up in the slot more than he ever did last week. So I think that's a beneficial.
You don't think Surtain follows?
Not into the slot.
Not into the slot?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I do think Pat Surtain has the ability to make George Pickens have a tough day.
Okay.
And I also think Pittsburgh is going to be able to run the ball in this game. So
Pickens ain't worried at all. Literally his words. That was his words. He said, I'm good too. I love that argument.
Pickens goes against Joey Porter Jr., who is no slouch all the time in practice. And as good as Joey Porter is, I will say, there's a lot of videos out there in training camp of him getting schooled by George Pickens. A lot of them.
George Pickens is tough, man.
He is. And I will say this, if Justin Fields gets it in his head, I think George Pickens is one of the best, if not the best, contested catch guys in the league.
He's really good.
Sideline pass, you got to go up and get it. Man, there's not a lot of guys I'm taking over George Pickens in that scenario.
He made some wild catches last year.
My thing is with George Pickens is if you started him last week and he's probably your starter for the rest of this, most of the season, I'm starting him this week until you prove me that just because there's nobody else here really either. I know Roman Wilson is trending like maybe it's a go, but I don't think it's going to be. He's going to sit out another week, I believe. Van Jefferson's not scaring anybody. It's Freiermuth and Pickens, and I think you're still starting Pickens here.
Okay. I can't really disagree with you.
If he's your flex, absolutely. Wide receiver 2, yeah. I'm still.
Well, I wouldn't think that he should. I mean, you didn't draft many wide receivers if he's your 2, or somebody's hurt. Higgins,
right.
I
so that's what I mean. It's like he's right on that fringe where it's like you probably are going to start him.
Love him in the flex.
Yeah, and like I said, I think Pittsburgh's going to move him. They know that he's arguably the best weapon on that offense. I think they'll move him inside. They did against the Falcons some. I think they'll do that.
All right. You had mentioned Freiermuth. How are we feeling there? 73% snap share last week.
I like Freiermuth this week.
Tight end landscape's tough. So,
yeah.
I mean,
Pat Freiermuth ran just as many routes as George Pickens and Van Jefferson.
That's good to hear.
I mean, the percentages are so close that it's not even a difference. I like Pat Freiermuth. I think he gets going a little bit here. I think this is a good week for him.
You got to hope he finds the paint, with one of those 6 or so targets that he gets.
The way the tight end landscape is right now, though, is the reason I'm saying to start Pat Freiermuth. If this guy gets 5 catches for 45 yards, you're okay with that the way the tight end things are going right now. So I'm saying start George. Pat Freiermuth too.
That was my point. Tight end landscape's tough. You just might be forced to do it.
Right.
It just is what it is. And
if he gets you those 5 catches for 45 yards and one of them a touchdown, you're golden.
You're in great shape.
Yep.
Agreed. Where are we at with this running back situation, Mr. Steelers fan? Tell me what's
Najee Harris
up.
this week. Nobody else. Start Najee. Jalen Warren's still banged up. I don't see him getting a lot of work. I think they want him to get healthy. Not saying he's not going to get on the field, but they're going to run Najee hard these first couple weeks until Jalen Warren's fully healthy, I think. So start Jalen Warren, good matchup. Or start Najee Harris, it's a good matchup.
There's a good chance you're in a situation where you might have to.
Yeah.
I want to see more. I want to see more with the touches. That's
Yeah, I mean, he had a lot of touches last week. He just didn't do a ton with them.
right. That's my point.
But
Like I want to see more
this
with
is
those.
a better matchup.
Oh yes.
Najee Harris is never going to be. I just don't think he's a back that breaks the big runs.
No.
You got to have a high yards per carry, high YPC for him to have a good game. I think he does this week. I think he gets in the end zone. I like Najee Harris this week.
I hate this Patterson thing. Knock it off.
It's going to be a thing.
What is it? Oh. I can't stand him, man. I cannot stand Arthur Smith.
No.
Can't stand this guy.
As big of a Steelers fan as I am, I did not like that hire.
Ugh. All right. I'm just going to sit here and scoff for the next 10 minutes if we keep going.
You have like one of the worst offenses in the NFL last year, and that's what you bring in to fix it. Like, get real. I know he had a good offensive coordinator under the Titans, but Najee Harris is good. He's not Derrick Henry.
Right. Valid. Fields versus Knicks.
Give me Fields.
It's Fields, but outside of Superflex, I kind of want to avoid and watch.
Yeah. If I'm picking between the two, I'm taking Fields, but I'm not starting either of them in a redraft.
Tell me where you're at with Fields versus Russ rest of season.
I want Fields in there.
I know what you want, but do you think that can happen?
I think
realistically.
You got to think that if they come out here and Fields has another good game where he's a game manager, doesn't make the big mistakes, and they can play the type of football that Mike Tomlin wants to play, that why don't you just roll with it at that point?
Yeah.
I mean, this was supposed to be Russ's big game, going back to Denver and everything, and like he's not. He's dealing with that injury. I just don't. To me, if Justin Fields is going to play smart football, give you the boom from being able to run with his feet, why go to Russ?
Okay, so there's a reason I asked this question.
What do you got?
When Fields was in Chicago, nobody really drafted Justin Fields, fantasy-wise. Nobody drafted him.
Right.
Became a league winner. Had a league-winning year. Can we get the same? Like, can this get go? If Fields stays in and, like, the comfortability gets going and they start gelling, and could Fields be like that league-winning, 50 yards rushing a game with a touchdown sprinkled in?
But it's not going to be from him throwing the ball. It's going to be from him doing Justin Fields' thing, the running quarterback. But, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. That's just something
I think he was playing. I think when he gets to a comfort level where he's playing more freely, I think he was really trying to not make the big mistake last week at all. Like, wanted to put a clean game out there.
Okay. Here's my reason for asking. Myself and probably lots of people out there roll with the 0 QB strategy and grab one or two late in the draft.
Okay.
Right? Usually one for me. I'm in a tough boat. Now, I like Kyler. I'm not in love with him, and there's going to be some issues. Like, I want Harrison to get going. That's going to help Kyler so much more. So I know a lot of people are in this boat because they draft like that. And I'm just wondering, people in my position, Kyler and Tua, do you go grab Justin Fields?
Stash him.
I mean, he's where I want him to be. He's in Pittsburgh with Mike Tomlin. Like,
right.
It was just a thought. I was looking at it today and I was like, I wonder, like, is that league winning, running all over, doing it not in a pretty way? Could that be a thing this year?
I think if Justin Fields continues to start, I mean, he's going to open up a little bit. That kid does like to throw the long ball.
Okay.
But it's a stash at this point still. You're not doing anything with Kyler yet. Right. Stash Fields, and if it does turn into something, maybe you can get something out of Kyler.
Yeah, like maybe you have two quarterbacks in the same boat as me, and maybe one of them's Tua.
Right.
Cut Tua and you add Fields, and that could be awesome come week 10, 11.
Yeah, for sure.
Just a thought. Okay. Over on the Broncos side, I am terrified for Knicks and the whole Broncos offense, man. I think Watt is going to feast and just be an absolute game wrecker, and Knicks is not going to know how to handle that yet.
I don't think he's going to know how to handle a lot of this coming at him right now.
Yeah. That's a wicked front.
Joey Porter's going to lock down Cortland Sutton.
Yep.
Minka Fitzpatrick is going to be in places that Bo Nix is not expecting him to be. Cam Hayward, Alex Highsmith, and TJ Watt are going to be in his grill all day long. And Patrick Queen is going to be eating up those running back dump-offs and tight end work. I just think it's going to be tough.
Yeah, so I don't. No interest in any Broncos pass catchers.
No. I honestly, and this is crazy, if you're going to make a case for somebody, I think it's Vele.
So next note. You really got to quit doing this, man.
Sorry.
Vele. I do want to keep an eye on Vele. Questionable with a rib injury. Important to note.
I would have Vele higher on my rankings than Cortland Sutton if he's healthy.
Oof.
Just because I don't.
Well, okay. Sutton's the next note here. He had 12 targets last week. The volume, there is volume there.
Mm-hmm.
If that stays on track, something could come of it. I mean, maybe you could have some potential sneaky weeks out of him in a pinch. Nick should develop a little over the next several weeks. And maybe it's enough to warrant some start potential when the bye weeks start hitting, things start getting thin. Do you stay patient and just stash Sutton? And wait, right?
Yeah.
That could be a thing down the line. 12 targets, if that sticks.
A lot of these matchups, like when we're talking about matchups, I don't like Cortland Sutton at all this week. But there's going to be games where
people are going to want to cut him after this. That's why I brought that up.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Any guy who had 12 targets, you don't cut.
No. Okay. But again, this week, stay away. If you can, oh God, I hope you can help it. Stay away. I can't start any running back with confidence here either.
No, too much of a timeshare, and if they're going to do anything, it's going to run the ball, but I still don't see it being very.
Okay, I'd flex Javonte if I had to. I guess if I had to. You just hope the touches are there. Maybe Denver doesn't throw 49 freaking times. That's got to change. Nix needs help.
I think Estime's out, right? He's on
IR.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. If you had to choose, it's Javonte over McLaughlin, right?
Yeah.
But
no.
McLaughlin over Javonte.
In this game, yes.
Okay. Well, yeah, they're going to be down. Yeah, okay. That's a fair assessment. So they're both a flex. They're both a dice roll flex.
Yeah,
correct?
with McLaughlin being higher for me.
Okay. No tight end interest at all.
No. Steelers D.
All day, not close. Is there an argument for Denver against Fields? Nah.
No.
They're just going to run away with it. Okay. Fair enough. Start the Steelers defense. Let's move on to Sunday Night Football. The Bears at the Texans. I like this Bears defense, but I don't think it can handle Diggs, Collins, Dell, Mixon. I just don't think it's going to handle all that. Jalen Johnson for the Bears is an elite D-back, though. So he's going to make things tough for somebody. And he doesn't shadow. He bounces around.
He also lines up in the slot a lot.
Yeah. So he's not going to shadow anybody, but he's going to bounce around. And like you said, he hangs in the slot quite often. Can they handle this?
Yeah.
You think so?
I think the Texans win the game, and I think some of these wide receivers still have good games, but Bears defense is going to keep it closer than what I think a lot of people think.
You think lower scoring game?
Yep.
Okay. Which wide receiver finishes first in PPR scoring this week?
Nico.
Diggs? Okay. I was going to say Diggs, Collins, or Dell. Nico, yeah, I'm with you there. Collins with 8 targets last week. Dell was 7, and Diggs was 6. Diggs just got in the paint twice.
Yep.
So he out-targeted. It was very close, 8, 7, and 6. I mean, Schultz is questionable with an ankle injury, so monitor that. We'll see. And to go back to the receivers quick, I just want to know, I think Collins is the best receiver in this group.
Me too.
He looks really, really good.
I think this is going to be a spotty thing, though. Not spotty as in like you can't get away with starting Nico Collins every week. Spotty in a sense that Stephon Diggs had the big game last week.
Sure.
Nico Collins could have the big game.
Sure.
And I think that's going to be a thing where there's always like a rank these 3, not to jump in on each head, rank the 3 Texans wide receivers.
Collins, Diggs, Tank.
Just like that?
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yep. You start Joe Mixon. I hope it's not 30 carries every week. I want him healthy all year, but I think this is where you actually handle the Bears defense. You set up play action off it. They aren't quite as tough on the run as they can be on the pass. So Chicago gave up 140 yards on the ground to the Titans last week. I think Houston can also fare well here. I like Mixon a lot this week.
Yeah.
Okay. Stroud over Caleb, clearly. Can Caleb get this figured out this week or struggle again? I mean,
struggle again.
This is 2 pretty
Texans
tough defenses.
Defense isn't a joke either.
No, they're both well above average. So yeah, it's Stroud over Caleb. You're not starting Caleb yet.
And you got to think that D'Amico Ryans was not impressed with that performance against the Colts. So
no. I feel a little sketched out on starting any Bears. Like, where are you at with the Bears receivers this week?
I'll start DJ Moore.
Okay. Allen and O'Dunes, both questionable. Allen with a heel. I think O'Dunes it's a knee sprain, I believe.
Yeah, day to day.
Okay. Allen does seem more certain to play than O'Dunes at this point.
That's a heel injury, correct?
Heel.
Yeah.
Yep. But he seems a little more certain at this point than O'Dunes. Are you going to fade Allen a little bit this week?
Yeah, because of the injury. I will say this. Allen should have had a huge game against the Titans.
He should have.
Not even just the pass that everybody's seen where he missed him down the sideline. There are clips of him just running wide open.
A lot of guys running open.
Yep.
Any confidence in the Bears running backs?
No.
Yeah, I don't understand Swift's role out of the backfield. Only 10 carries for 30 yards, 0 catches as a starting running back, playing with a rookie quarterback making his first start. What?
Yeah,
I don't know the role. I don't know if I can start him.
Herbert and Johnson were nothing to speak of. I mean, I just don't want any part of this.
Yep, I don't like him this week. And you probably can avoid starting him, most likely, depending on how you draft it. And if you can, I would.
Yeah.
Okay. No interest in Cole Kmet right now at all.
None.
Which D do you prefer?
Texans.
Yeah.
I will say this. If you're in a redraft league, I am not dropping the Bears defense and streaming a defense. I'm keeping that defense in against the Texans, and it's only week 2. Be patient. Don't drop them for this matchup. Just play it and let it ride.
Fair enough. I agree. That's it for Sunday Night Football. Let's move on to Monday Night Football. It's the Falcons at the Eagles. I'd like to say I expect a much better week from the Falcons, but some of this Cousins stuff I'm seeing, it's kind of concerning. Do you think?
I don't expect a better week from the Falcons. Maybe better as far as they look better. I think the Eagles handle them pretty good.
Maybe I'm trying to not be a homer here. I don't know. It's tough. Do you buy into any of these things we're seeing about Cousins at all with this whole?
I seen the clip of like the one throw where his plant foot looked odd. But I will say that there was pressure coming at him, and I wonder if it was more of like a step back thing because you pulled up earlier, and me and you sat and watched all the throws, and you don't see it on a lot of them. There was a couple balls that had some dip on them. I understand. The not lining up under center thing is worrisome to me.
Yeah, 0. I think it was 1 snap under center, 0 play action plays. Everything was out of pistol or shotgun. They ran 0 times out of shotgun at 81%. Of the time in pistol,
that's just not how Kirk Cousins plays quarterback.
No, he's made a career off play action. His whole career's been based off that.
Yeah,
it's just weird.
It is.
And then like to see some of this or some of this foot stuff is like, There
was something happened on that one play with the foot, but I don't know that it was. Like I said, we sat here and watched all the other throws, and you just don't see it on the rest of them. There is the one throw that's circulating where it looks like he doesn't plant on his right foot like he should. I don't know.
Okay. All that said, how confident are we in the Falcons pass catchers? London, Pitts, Mooney, McLeod? I mean, you got to start London and Pitts. I mean, that's just kind of probably how it goes.
I feel decent about Pitts.
You can throw the ball on Philadelphia.
Yeah, and I think with the tight end position, again, so like the tight end position has just been atrocious.
You have to start Kyle
week
Pitts.
1. So I think Kyle Pitts is a must start. Drake London, there's a lot of concern there for me just because of how bad this Falcons offense looked.
We need another week. I need to see it, man.
I hope there's improvements. I really do. But get Kirk Cousins under center, run the ball with Bijan, get the play action going. Like, come on.
Yeah. Otherwise, you're making us wonder and question things.
Right.
Like, obviously, you're starting Bijan. Any concern that if Cousins, like this Cousins thing is like legit, that Vic Fangio just finds a way to stifle the hell out of Bijan? Or do you think Bijan just gets his? Obviously, you're going to start him no matter what, but do you temper expectations a little?
Yeah. You have to start him, but you temper expectations. That Eagles D-line is just monstrous. And I think they're going to come in with the game plan similar to Pittsburgh that the whole focus is going to be on Bijan.
Okay.
Until the Falcons prove that they can go over top and do that stuff, I don't think it's going to be a thing where, I think the Eagles are coming into this game. They're going to stack it up front, try to stuff Bijan, and be like, what can you do?
Right. Well, we'll see what happens. I would temper expectations a little bit. I need to see a better Hurts this week.
Yeah.
I want an output that comes closer to where his ADP was. 18 does not cut it. I think we do this week.
Me too.
Okay. You're starting him, obviously, no matter what. Yeah. Eagles pass catchers. A.J. Brown's questionable with a hamstring injury. He apparently sustained at practice today, Friday. It makes it awful tough when this happens, man.
especially on Monday night.
Yes, it does. He's slated for Monday night. If he's out, Devonta Smith gets an obvious bump, and you're starting him anyway. You're starting all these guys. But does it give flex consideration for Dotson if
you're in
Brown's
a tough spot? If you're a guy that had Puka, T. Higgins, and you're in a situation like that, yes, it gives consideration.
You got to go get him right now.
Yeah.
Get him on the bottom
and
of your bench.
If you're not in that situation, maybe still stash him because I think he still could have some good weeks in this offense, but I think that's a risky start also.
Sure, because you just think it's like, well, we'll just give it to Saquon a few more times.
Or Goddard gets a couple more targets. Or,
yes, I was going to ask that. You starting Dallas Goddard?
Yeah, I think so.
Whether Brown starts or not, I think
so. Yep.
I think so too. He's a fine. Again, the tight end landscape,
right?
And you could be in a situation. All right, how about this? Goddard or Freiermuth this week?
Give me Pat.
He's in a better spot to see targets.
Yeah,
to see more targets. Okay, less around him. Just and
that's exactly what it is.
Yes.
It's George Pickens and Pat Freiermuth.
Yep. Dotson is 9% roster percentage of now. So if you have AJ Brown, you should be able to go add him. Assuming Brown plays, you start him.
Which, going back to what Chad said, if you do have AJ Brown and Jahan Dotson is available in your league, go get him because it could come down to a Monday night decision. Jahan Dotson is better than a 0.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, at least you have a chance to get points on the board. So if this is a Monday night game, if you're looking at this and you have AJ Brown, try to find a way to put Dotson on your bench. So you have somebody to go into that game if need be.
If Brown's out, Dotson or Ray McLeod?
Ray McLeod.
Dotson or Mooney? Give me Dotson over both.
Dotson over both?
Yep.
I'll go Dotson over Mooney. Ray McLeod over Dotson.
Okay. Obviously, you start Barkley. They're thrilled to have him.
Another big week.
Very possible. Another boom here. Start Eagles D?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's it for all the games. Let's move on to this fun segment where I just get to sit here and listen to Tyler talk. Tyler's DFS picks for the week. Tyler, do your thing.
Yeah. For you guys following, we had a good week last week. If you guys entered that, I know I entered it in a $1 league, but out of 4.5 thousand people, took 77. So if you were in on that, you probably could have won some matchups with that. For this week, we're going with a lot of value. Jaden Daniels against the Giants is my quarterback for 6,200. You're going to notice a trend in these DFS that if I can start a running quarterback, I'm going to. I don't do the stack thing that much. I'd rather have the running quarterback that I know is going to be prevalent. Jerome Ford, 5,900, going against, now this is only off of 1 week totals, but last week Jacksonville gave up the 25th most fantasy points to opposing running backs, to the Dolphins running backs, I should say. But yeah, Jerome Ford had only 5,900. He had 18.9 fantasy points last week. Give me him against the Jacksonville Jaguars all day. The smash one that I put in, Chad, get your microphone ready. J.K. Dobbins.
Oh, yeah.
Going against Carolina, who gave up the 31st most points to running backs last week. I just think you start to see already this week the time, like the share of touches between him and Gus Edwards separate a little bit. And I think Dobbins just had the monster game. Have a lot of stake in the Tampa Bay Detroit Lions game. I don't think this is a great slate of games for DFS. And if the Bills-Dolphins game is going to tell you anything, you want competitive games. You want that pushback from other teams because if not, you can have games where big-time players get you 6 or 7 points. So I got Chris Godwin in at 6,000 as my wide receiver one. Had 22.3 last week going against the Detroit Lions. I'll take it. Taking a risk here on Malik Neighbors. Going against the Washington defense, I just think they're going to try to find a way to get this guy the ball. So Malik Neighbors at 5,900. After that, I have Jameson Williams, who is worth monitoring. He's questionable right now, but I think Jameson Williams is going to play. Obviously had a breakout game last week, going against a depleted Tampa Bay secondary that has possibly 4 or 4 starters out. Isaiah Likely, still cheaper than Mark Andrews. Mark Andrews was 5,000. Isaiah Likely was 4,800. I'm all in on the Isaiah Likely train. So I got Isaiah Likely going against the Las Vegas Raiders for 4,800. Isaiah Pacheco at 6,900 is my big money player. I'm taking him against the Bengals. I love that matchup. Think he has a great game. 15.8 against the Ravens defense last week. I think that goes up this week. And rounding it out, Steelers defense against Denver all day.
I absolutely love it. I noticed Dobbins was on there and ETN wasn't.
Right. Dobbins was on last week too. So I tell you right now, until they adjust that, like I got on there this week and seen Dobbins with 5,200, and it was the first player in that lineup. I'll give you that, Chad.
All right. I hope I called it. We'll see. There's a lot of season to go yet.
Chad's going to ride me about this all year. I will say, at the beginning of the season, I was not in on Dobbins, and it was because of him staying on the field. I, as much as anybody, want Dobbins to be healthy all year. I am by no means, because I made that prediction, am I rooting against this kid. I want to see what a whole season of Dobbins looks like.
I don't dispute that.
Please.
No,
I don't dispute that at all.
I would love him to have a full year. This kid could be insane.
All right. Let's go on to this is a newer segment here. Brand new, actually. We're going to go with start of the week. Mitchell, myself, and Tyler all have a player or two. So we're going to go ahead and let Mitchell kick this off. Mitchell, give me your start of the week.
All right. Give me Kupp. Cooper Kupp versus Cardinals. Rams tend to own the Cardinals, and with Puka out, I'm going to lean that way. He's going to be have a stellar week.
Target hog.
Yep.
He certainly should be. My start of the week is J.K. Dobbins at Carolina. Big surprise. Listen, you start everybody against Carolina.
Yeah.
You just do. And give me J.K. Dobbins in a run-heavy offense all day long. And my honorable mention is Zay Flowers against the Raiders. I think he rips the top off at least one time, gets in the end zone, and gets you a handful of catches. I think Zay Flowers is a high-end wide receiver, too, this week. Tyler, give me your starts of the week.
I'm going with Amon-Ra St. Brown against that depleted Tampa Bay secondary. I think they're going to try to get this guy the ball early and often. I think he has a huge game. I hope you didn't panic in week one. Obviously, it was disappointing, but I think Amon-Ra St. Brown goes off this week. My number two is Josh Jacobs. It's a weird stat going around in the 3 games that Malik Willis played for the Titans. Derrick Henry had over 115 rushing yards in each of them. I think
they have to.
You've seen what Joe Mixon did against the Texans last week, or against the Colts last week. I think Green Bay has to try and run the ball. I think Josh Jacobs is the only person on this roster you feel any confidence whatsoever in starting. I'm starting Josh Jacobs. I think he's going to be able to run the ball. I think he's going to catch some passes from Malik Neighbors out of the backfield. I think they're going to get mopped up, but I think a big fantasy week for Josh Jacobs.
All right. You have any final thoughts?
Wish Tua the best.
Me too.
Hopefully
that's a good final
everything
thought.
goes good for him.
He seems like a genuinely great human.
He does.
He really does.
Like I'm rooting for him for it not to be as bad as it looked, or maybe as we think, and that he can be back on the field and doing his thing.
If he comes back, I hope this never happens again.
Oh, me too.
Slide, buddy.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Get
Slide
down,
down.
man.
Just get down, dude. Don't be doing that. All right. That's it for this week. Again, as always, thank you all so much for tuning in and giving us your support. Remember, our PPR Superflex Dynasty rankings are now available in the description. Just click the corresponding link. They are available as well on our Twitter. Also, check the description for instructions on how to get your trades graded. Join us next time for our reaction to the weekend slate of games. Please remember to like, follow, and subscribe to our Spotify, Twitter, and YouTube. We wish you all the luck this weekend. Go get a dub. See you next time, everybody.